All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto you. How about Shema, Shah, about Shema Kakwadash? Double honors to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and in truth. Yeah, you'll see the lesson on the title on this lesson, just dealing how long will this go on? You know, this is article on Wikipedia just going into us in this captivity to slavery, man. You know, this slavery is a cruel one, man. This is the worst captivity that we ever been in. We working constantly. You know, you have to work consistently 6 days a week. And hell, it tells you that even in the law, that after a man he hits the labor field after a certain set time, he's set up for the rest of his life, man. You know, when we had actually Hebrew servants, because there were Israelite servants, you know, just like in today's time, you might have your boss might be a Negro, you know what I'm saying, or a Latino, might, of course, today's time be supervisors and things of that nature. And the top of the food chain is predominantly Edomites. But, back in the ancient world, you would have those different masters, you know what I'm saying, so-called slave masters, when you were actual servant, a Hebrew servant, and you will work for a certain amount of time. And after a certain set point, he would make sure you straight, and you would work for assets, man. That's one thing about it. Your work in the ancient world, let me get that. I think it's like 23rd of Numbers 23. Hebrew servant. Hebrew servant scripture. No, it's in the law. I used to know about Exodus 21. Okay, Exodus the 21st chapter, because this is important, and this shows you how courteous and how loving we was as a nation. The Exodus 21, what this says 7. I ain't even got the exact verse. 2. So it says, if thou buy an Hebrew servant 6 years, he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Yeah, so after a said time, that Hebrew servant will work, aggressively for 6 years. And I'm pretty sure in the ancient world, you would have actually Israelites that would feed them daily. It's on the law to pay your servants daily. They would make sure that they was established. They would give them their daughters. You see, they would give them resources enough to sustain them for the rest of your life. Of course, if you're super well off, in most people, and in most cases, if you were agriculturally sound, if you had an agricultural business, you would make sure that some individuals had stakes or stocks. It's even certain jobs, and I've worked somewhere, and you don't really get much, but you have ESOP, employee stock ownership plan, where you'll work for the job and they'll actually give you stocks. You see? So when I say stocks in the ancient world, I'm saying it in regards to they would give you portions of their company. They would give you a certain percentage because they understood that your labor was, was necessary for them to actually accelerate their business, and they would want the best for you. That's the highest form of consideration. And the scripture says that, all these things hang on the law, loving thy Lord, as thou love thyself. Verse 3, if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master shall give him a wife, and he have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. Yeah, so it was certain ramifications within the law, of course, on how you would deal with your servants. And like I said, they would deal with them justly, and see, Esau, he puts us what's known in today's time as chattel slavery. When you look up chattel slavery, that's the most extreme form of slavery, man, where they'll beat you, they'll castrate you, they'll, like I was saying in the previous lesson, buck break you, institutionalize you, torture you, actually, and even in slavery, they would actually, do a lot of experimentations on Jake, man. You know, you had, of course, anesthetics. Let me see if I could go. You had anesthetics. And how did anesthetics become, or prior to, I would say, these different medical surgeries, how did these medical surgeries, whether it was dental extractions and things of that nature, how did they actually get to the point they're at now? Through experimentations and testing you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans like lab rats, man. And when I was saying anesthetics, they would actually use their different devices, whether it's for bone extractions or whatever type of surgical procedure. A lot of those they would do without anesthetics. I've seen videos like that. So this is a horrific captivity, man. That's why, see the lesson. How long will this captivity, go on for, man? And of course, we all know that the scriptures has a certain appointed time, but this is, we're worn out, man. It feels like you're running in circles, man, which that's the highest form of insanity. You're running from one spot to the next. You're running over here. You're running over here. Look at your daily lifestyle. You got to run. You got to get through traffic to go pick up some basic necessities. You got to go from this side of town to that side of town to go work. You might have to do doubles, go to this side of town. After that, got to go over here. And then, say, for instance, you trip up, one day, your whole life might be in jeopardy because your job is looking to fire you because you might have got sick, And I'm not talking about the vid. The vid is one excuse, of course. That was an excuse to allow a lot of people to get leisure off their jobs. But, certain stomach illnesses and certain stuff like that, certain jobs, we want to just get rid of you, man. You see, they make it where you don't even have a level of leisure in order to actually relieve your stress, But I want to go into this article where it's wage slavery. Wage slavery describes a person's dependence on wages or a salary for their livelihood, especially when wages are low, conditions are poor, and there are few realistic chances of upward mobility. Yeah, so there's only a few realistic chances for upward mobility in this captivity, man. You got a certain percentage of Jakes that, are so-called middle class. But when you look at so-called Negro middle class versus white middle class, it's black and white. All right. So they make it where you don't have the mobility deals with mobilization, moving. They make it where you can't move upward. Everything you do, there's always that barricade. It's always a financial barricade or a certain point where you can't break that threshold, because what? You got this bill, you got that bill. The bills are constantly going up. Gas is constantly going up, and shame on you niggas to want to even still stay in this captivity, man. This is the worst, most atrocious captivity that we ever been in the history of man. All right. Starting off with slavery, man. So start, of course, in the 1600s, proceeding to the point where now, where Jake has a little bit of leverage to pump gas and drive to the job rather than being on a plantation. But nonetheless, it's all nothing but a more updated slavery. So it says the view that working for wages is akin to slavery dates back to the ancient world. In ancient Rome, Cicero wrote that the very wage laborers received is a pledge of their slavery. Yeah, so the what you make signifies that you a slave, man. $7. I seen and I posted it on Facebook, but it was somebody did like 130 hours and made $760. That ain't nothing more than wage slavery, man. And then, they was trying to blame it on taxes, which they're going to get heavily taxed from that any goddamn way, but they tried to blame it on taxes. It wasn't taxes. It's really the amount of bullshit money that you're receiving per hour, man. And then you got to wait, depending on certain jobs, 2 weeks in a hole. Why the fuck is they putting you in a hole, man? And there's certain jobs that don't want to give you your last check. I worked the job and quit it. They didn't give me my last check. They kept it. So this is slavery, man. And I don't give a hell what if a nigga try to philosophize. Well, America, man, it's the land of opportunity, the land of the free. If you look at the labor market, it's up by a certain percent. So-called blacks have risen. Man, F that, man. It says this. I want to jump down. It says the slave was precious to his master because of the money he had cost him. They were worth at least as much as they could be sold for in the market. It is the possibility of living by any other means that compels our farmer laborers to till the soil whose fruit they will not eat, and our masons to construct buildings in which they will not live. Oh my goodness, that's the curses of Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, man. You know, come on, man. And we not the people of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. We're not God's people. You know, it says that we're gonna eat. You know, we're gonna labor and we're gonna till and we're gonna not receive, man. That's how we know we are the Israelites. All right, through process of elimination. The so-called white man is reaping massive benefits off of the backs of majority of our people. That's why Jake be having lower back problems, you know, upper back problems, shoulder, you know, the hip clicking, you know, arthritis and things of that nature, malnourished. First off, the food is not even, you know, giving you the proper nutrients to bust your ass, but you still trying to run because you don't have no choice. And I don't get me wrong, I understand because I have to do the same shit, man. You know, you don't want to, but hey, if you don't meet the requirements, who gonna pay your bills for you? There's not a certain market that helps the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American man. Now, of course, these women, they get taken care of through, you know, WIC, you know, welfare, you know, assistance programs and things of that nature. But when it comes to us, you know, we done, man. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. What's the field represent? The world. It tells you that in Matthew the 13th chapter. You know, so no matter where we go, the so-called blacks all the way over there in the eastern quarters, whether they're in the Asiatic lands or the India, whatever, it don't matter, man. They're at the bottom, man. You know, and there be so many Negroes, of course, they'll eventually give them a position. Hell, it ain't like so-called Negroes didn't have positions in slavery. You had house niggas. That was a higher position than the field nigga. So in today's time, you'll have Jakes that can, you know, could sit, you know, you'll see these different jobs and everybody's out in the field in the industrial market. You know, when you go into these industrial jobs, these industries, you'll see most people working in the most laborsome positions, and you might go to the actual office and it might be a you know, Negro or Latino filling out paperwork. They're slaves nonetheless, because a lot of times they got to go in the field, train, do certain things, you know, but they're just in a higher position. But the massive cusp of Jakes, all right, we're cursed, man. You know, really all of us is cursed, but the masses of us are in the lowest positions, you know, in this captivity, man. Like I said, a few of them will wiggle through. You know, they've been laboring at the job for 20, 25 years. They probably should have been in a position, you know, 9 years prior. But eventually, you know, they like, oh, we're going to have to put this nigga somewhere, man. You know, they really don't want you there, but it'll be blatantly obvious. This man that's been working for 25 years is under a man that's been working for 8. And they've came in and he's a better worker, because Jake be busting. It's certain jobs Jake busts their ass, bro. You know, I've been in certain jobs where you like, God damn, this man don't put his foot off the gas, man. He got work demons on him, man. You know, he punched the clock and he literally puts his soul into it. Some of them Jakes be working to the point you be like, I already know, man, when you go home, you in a coffin. You gonna get the best sleep. You get the best sleep every time, man. You know, every day, because of how much work you put in. You labor out, you know, the very essence of yourself. And that's why a lot of them Jakes, man, they ain't got no real, you know, strong vibration when it comes to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, because they put all these spirit into this world, man. You know, and I be looking at them like, man, I'd be damned if I work that fucking hard, man. You know, I work too. I'd be like, man, I ain't finna kill myself for these crackers, man. For them to tell you at the meeting you ain't doing enough. Yeah, you know, you guys got to step it up, man. You know, you guys got to do better. You know, there's so many words. They'll probably pass out some canteens so you could work harder. You know, empty canteens. and you pay for the water. You know, they might have a day where they feed you some snacks. And then they gonna make it harder for your fucking ass, man. This ain't our rest. It tells you that in Micah the 2nd chapter. Cursed shall be thy basket, and curse and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thine kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. Yeah, so we're cursed all over the board, you know. And it ain't no coming up out of this hell unless it's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, starting a union or being a part of a union, that's not going to help it. Now, you got certain Jakes, don't get me wrong, certain unions do have benefits to them. You know, I'm not going to be a big boy liar. I've heard of certain benefits certain unions have, but it ain't nothing to get you out of slavery, though. You know, it's just certain benefits they give you while you slaving. You see, that puts you in a cut above, because all these different jobs ain't the same, man. All these industrial jobs aren't the same. You know, it's levels to captivity. You know, you got the bottom barrel captivity, and you got some that might feed you every day. But nonetheless, it's still captivity. You're still captive. Scripture says that all the prisoners held them captive. They refused fast to let them go. You don't retire from these jobs. It ain't I just read in Exodus 21st chapter. It ain't like after 6 years of working on these jobs, they're going to let you go free, you know, and give you a plaque and you retire. Yeah, I worked at Walmart distribution or Sam's Club, and I worked for 6 years and I retired. That ain't happening, man. You know? So continuing on, it says, it is want that compels them to go down on their knees to the rich man in order to get from him permission to enrich him. What effective gain has the suppression of slavery brought him? He is free, you say. Ah, that is his misfortune. These men have the most terrible, the most imperious of masters that is in need. They must therefore find someone to hire them or die of hunger. Is that to be free? And that's a good question. The view that wage work has substantially similarities with chattel slavery, I just went into that, was actively put forward in the late 18th and 19th centuries by defenders of chattel slavery, most notably in the southern states of the U.S., and by opponents of capitalism who were also critics of chattel slavery. Some defenders of slavery, mainly from the southern slave states, argued that northern workers were free, but in name the slaves of endless toil, and their slaves were better off. Yeah, so it was a contention, of course, from the north versus the south of the style of slavery. And nonetheless, like I said, it was slavery. And then who do they have? African-American wage workers picking cotton on a plantation in the south. You see? So at the end of the day or the end of the week, however, you know, I don't know how it went bi-weekly and weekly. The weekly things started to pop off, you know. They would feed the slaves. They would give them, you know what I'm saying? Some of them, after doing certain things, whether it was a Mandingo fighter, they could get a little piece of tail, you know. But that didn't negate the fact that they were at the bottom, man. You know, so that's just the reality of it. I'm going to get this in the book of Haggai, the 1st chapter, and I'm going to close with that, you know. The reality of it, man, we just at the bottom, you know what I'm saying? And this is not our rest. That's why, like I said before in the previous lesson, we seek a new kingdom and a new heaven wherein dwelleth righteousness. This place is the valley of the shadow of death. All right? Every cusp of wickedness spirals up out of this place, man. This is the belly of the beast, you know. And see, a lot of our people want to try to, you know, avoid the elephant in the room, when the truth is this place is not beneficial for us, man. Look at your father and your father's father. Now, of course, like I said, you got certain Jakes, man. Their fathers might make $240,000 a year. It's not a lot of them, but it is some that make $100,000 a year. You know, you got millionaire fathers that retired. So you be like, oh man, my father made it. Your father didn't make nothing, man. He generated some money, you know, but when it comes to making it, what the hell is making it, man? Your father still get profiled. Hell, look at Will Smith. He's banned for 10 years, and this guy is almost a billionaire. Look at Kanye West. He was banned. They treating all these so-called Negroes that we look at in a position of notoriety like little niggas, man. So this is Haggai 1:6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. Yeah, so your wages that you work for, it ain't adding up, man. 2 plus 2 supposed to be 4. How you putting in 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and at the end of the year, your bank account in the negatives? You see, and you do all your calculations. Yeah, if I pay this and I do that, by this time I'll have 3,500, and I'll be able to put down, what I'm saying, on a Ford, and I could be able to, F-150, and I could be able to start my business. All I need is XYZ for the material and yada yada yada. And you look at the end of the year after that time, and your bank account in the negatives, man. Because vehicles break down. You get sick, like I said, bills, children, fees and stuff like that. Certain things with your rib, That's why everything is just leaking out like a leaky gut, man. You just can't retain nothing in the basket, man. That's wage slavery, And that's why we got to work, man. We just have to work in the spirit to stack up our riches in the heavens. The scriptures speak about how in the heavens we receive riches, wherein moth and rust doth not corrupt. Because there where your heart be also, man. We got to put our heart in the heavens, which goes back to the Hebrew word "lav," which really goes into putting our spirit and our essence into Yahweh Shema Shah. Because this is, it sounds so cliche, but people be saying the gift that keep giving. This is what's going to keep paying you back, man. And you retain this wisdom. This ain't like the money that you make in Esau's system. You can't go back 15 years of the money that you made, when you was working at, in the construction, and still spend that money. But with this truth, you can still utilize this wisdom. That's why the highest form of money and the highest form of currency is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Shema Shah. And the Lord gave us these talents to trade. So we have to trade to the best of our ability. All right, so hopefully brothers will edify. I'm going to end by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Shema Shah by Shem Rakakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone. Shalom Amakim.